Welcome back to another CGFigures tutorial. In this video, I'm going to show you how to quickly make these stacking and sliding animations in Blender. Go ahead, grab the default cube and hit X. I'm going to work entirely from planes because I find it gives me a bit more flexibility. So Shift A, add a plane. I'm going to hit S and scale this 2 times just so we can better see what we're looking at. From there, I'm going to go to the modifier properties and start by adding a solidify modifier. I'll change the offset to 1 instead of -1, and I'll bring the thickness up to just about 0.15. In fact, 0.1. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit and we're going to clean this up just a little. I want to have softer edges, so I'm going to apply a bevel with 2 segments, a limit method of angle, and I'm also going to drop the offset down to 0.01. That looks pretty good. I'm going to right click, shade smooth, and now we're in a place where we can get going. So to start, I'm going to add a very simple array modifier. Now the trick with this is that the array actually has to be at the top, and you cannot really vertically array planes. So if I try and produce a relative offset of 1, you'll see nothing has happened. If, however, I use a constant offset, then I can use the Z direction. And so I'm going to bring it up to just about 0.15. I know that I want that fixed distance between each layer, and I'll bring the count up to 5. Now, the reason I've done this is I want all of these positioned exactly this way. It's very convenient for me, and doing that with an array modifier works. So I'll apply the array modifier, and now each of these still has the solidify and the bevel. Now, you'll notice this is all still one object, and I want 5. So tab into edit mode, you can see, now I can see each plane, hit P, and we're going to choose separate by loose parts, and that will give us all of the planes that we want, planes 1 through 5. So tab back into object mode, and this is where we're going to start the animation. Alt-A to deselect everything. Now hit your period key, and this is going to control our pivot point. And the pivot that we're going to use is 3D cursor. Once we've done that, we can go ahead, just drag over all of these, and very, very important, right click and choose set origin, origin to geometry. You can now see that each of these has its origin in the middle of the plane, and that's very important for what we're going to do, because it impacts how these things move. So, again, drag a box over all of them, hit I to add a location keyframe, and now we're going to go X number of frames ahead. I'm going to use 60. From there, we're going to grab just the top plane, hit O to turn on proportional selection. We are still in object mode, and then hit G and Z. Now, one of the things that you may want to do here is if you're going to bring this selection really wide, you'll want to hide your camera and the light or any other objects because they will move if they're in range of this selection. In this case, they aren't, so we'll go ahead, hit G, Z, and you can see that I can now control how closely these other planes follow. And there's the light moving, you can see right there. So we'll actually go ahead, we will hide the light, we will hide the camera, we'll grab this plane again, hit G, Z, and we'll bring it up, and we can actually control this fall off. So you could see how this would be animating if I were to bring it back down. And so I'm going to say that this is roughly what I want. Now that I've done this, I'll turn off proportional selection, grab all of the planes, hit I again, and add another location keyframe. And so if we were to play this in reverse, it would be the exact effect that I want. They're all going to fall in from these different heights and collapse into this nice uniform structure. However, the order isn't the way I want. Unfortunately, it's a little bit tricky to get this to work the other way around, but the fix is very simple. Simply grab all your planes, come to this animation bar, grab the frame or the little yellow diamond at 0 and just drag that to the side. Then click this diamond once, you'll see that it is the only one that's yellow, and we'll move this to 0, and we'll grab this other one now and we'll move this to 60. So resetting our timeline back to frame 0 and coming to where we would expect to be looking for this animation. In fact, we'll just go ahead, hit 0 for our camera view, and we'll unhide our camera and our light. If we hit Z and come into rendered view right away, and I'll add a ground plane, this is what we're going to end up with. There are all of our planes falling nicely into place. I'm actually going to turn off shadows on this light because I don't think it's actually adding to this scene. And we'll hit G and Z with the camera and move it up a little bit. But there we go. Very, very easy. We now have this stack falling in animation. So there they are, they all come in, and now at frame 60, we could do the exact same thing for the sliding effect. So we know that all of these have a keyframe. If we now come ahead to frame 120, what we can do is, again, we can hide our base plane. This is our ground at the moment. We're going to hide that because we don't want to be interfered with. We don't want the light or camera to be interfered with either. So we'll grab this top plane, hit O for proportional selection, G, Y, And now we're just going to drag out, and we're going to use the scroll wheel to control the extent of that effect. You can actually also change the type of proportional selection to decide which of these you want. I actually think linear works very well for sliding. So G and Y, and just drag that out until just about here. And now you'd see all of these layers have separated. So again, we're going to select all of them with the box, I for location keyframe. And now let's watch our full animation from start to finish with all of our scene elements in place in rendered view. There's our stack falling into place and then slowly sliding out to reveal all the layers. And because each of these are specific objects, you could apply materials to each one. So you could make them whatever you really want them to be. A metal on the bottom, for instance, a plastic type of material in the intermediate zone, one that's perhaps blue, another one on the other side that is red, this sort of thing. I'll keep the white on the top and we'll make this middle one something a little bit more interesting. Let's say that this one is going to be an emissive layer, so we'll change to a emission shader. Give it a strength of 10, make it green. And from here you could see, there we go, here's our stack, falls into place, slides out. You could very easily label all of these layers and have a finished animation. Quick and easy. So, as always, if you found this helpful, consider subscribing, sharing with your friends and colleagues, hopefully use it to make some figures, and until next time, you have yourself a great old day.